The 2005 Dakar got underway from Barcelona in Spain, before then travelling into Morocco, Mauritania for a rest day at Dakar, a further 2 stages then in Mali, before the finish in Senegal nearly 9,000 kilometres later. It was once more going to be a big, long Dakar, the toughest motorsport event on the planet. KTM were once more the favourites, with Cyril Desprez and Fabrizio Mioni heading their charge. Danny Roma had moved on to 4 wheels for 2005. Yamaha had their 450, with David Fretenier once more heading their push. With cars, it was Stefan Peterhansel heading a 5-car team. Volkswagen doubled their efforts from 2 to 4 cars for 2005. Jutta Kleinschmidt, Robbie Gordon, Juha Kankkunen and Bruno Sabi heading the German manufacturer. Nissan had 3 cars once more, with Vatanen, De Villiers, McRae, a 4-litre V6 now powering the car. 2-time winner, driver and team boss Schlesser had a new V8 in the back of his buggy. BMW had 3-litre diesels, with Nasser Al-Attiyah being the lead driver from Qatar. A short prologue on New Year's Eve before a massive long road section on New Year's Day down to Granada. Then a short stage at Granada, where David Fretenier took 2 stage victories after Barcelona and the stage here in Granada. Cyril Desprez was hot on his heels, just 11 seconds behind in the overall standings. Yamaha led from KTM. But the Italian Giovanni Sala ran into problems right on the very first stage. Clutch failure leaving him stranded and looking for help. Fortunately, his teammates were there. Others had fundamental problems and fundamental solutions. Nissan led overall after McRae's stage win in Granada. The brand new V6 4-litre engine with the new transmission was working perfectly for the Scot. Teammate De Villiers was 3rd. Volkswagen won the very first stage, with rookie Robbie Gordon to take the very first car stage victory for the USA. He was just 1 second back of McRae. Mitsubishi were not bothered to get the glory of the opening stages. They opted to play it safe instead. Peterhansel was their leading runner in 4th with the new Evo 3. In the truck class, it was Hans Becks who led overall. One of the star entries, though, was the twin-engined 4-wheel drive Citroën de Chevaux. After the Granada stage, it was onto the boat to cross the Straits of Gibraltar. Africa was on the horizon as people grabbed their last bit of peaceful sleep for a while. Stage 4, the stage from Rabat to Agadir. But there were problems at the start. The fog had descended. He says, we are obliged to cancel the stage for security reasons. The helicopters cannot take off at the moment with this fog. Patrick Zanaroli therefore ordering the motorcycle riders to go through the stage, but taking it as a road section. The real rally will start in the desert tomorrow. Then we'll be into Mauritania, where it will really be decided. American Robbie Gordon smashed all the records again to win his 2nd stage in 4 days. The rookie American was leading overall. The new 2.5-litre 5-cylinder turbo diesel, mounted in the front of the Touareg, was going absolutely great guns. Stefan Pederhansel was just 59 seconds overall behind Robbie Gordon, but easily in touch and ready to pounce. Bruno Sabi was strong too, being third overall, just 1 minute and 14 seconds back.
In the concrete jungle, Officer Jane Porter has stumbled on a case
You're under arrest.
that will change her life forever.
I'm Tarzan. We found him less than a mile from the crash site. He survived in the jungle.
The legendary story retold. Tarzan, Sundays at 6 on Channel 36 on DSTV.
Stage 5 from Agadir to Smara, and people were beginning to get tired. This innocent crash, one of many. One of the star entries, though, was this Swiss Aprilia sidecar. What a way to do the Dakar. Cyril Dupre on his Gauloise KTM clinched third on the stage, but held second overall. Mark Comer from Spain was second on the stage and was now the leading Repsol KTM rider. But it was Andy Caldicott who clinched his first ever Dakar stage victory to propel him into the overall lead of the event with his KTM Australia 660 machine. Things were tight though. Tyres were getting pushed right to the limit on the stage, and he was lucky to get to the finish.
It's the same tyre we actually had on yesterday, so it's done 2 days. That's sort of some of the things we have to do, not unfortunately being like the full factory riders. I think maybe that just made it wear a little bit quicker. I was a bit concerned at the refuel that it may not make the distance, but it got here, so this is okay.
On four wheels, Hiroshi Mashioka lost a massive amount of time with a suspension failure. The two-time former victor of the Dakar lost just over 3 hours in the overall standings. Contention of victory gone. He says, I overtook a car and hit a ditch at quite a speed. I broke the suspension, so I've lost 3 hours, so a bad, bad day for me. Teammate Stefan Pederhansel had 3 punctures on the stage to Smara. A cold made his eyes watery, literally meaning he could not see the stones in the middle of the road. Luc Alphand only had 1 puncture. He was now 3rd overall. Jutta Kleinschmidt from Germany was 4th overall in the leading Volkswagen. While South Africa's Janil de Villiers was 2nd in the overall standings with his Nissan. The views got more and more spectacular, but no time for Colin McRae to look at them. The 1995 World Rally Champion was quickest on the stage to then lead overall ahead of his teammate by 5 minutes and 28 seconds. It was one of the last few clear days left. Gerard de Rooij from Holland was going great guns until it all went wrong. He rolled his DAF onto its side and he lost an enormous amount of time as he repaired it. He says it doesn't matter, no problem with the engine, that's the main thing. It's just the bodywork that doesn't look so good. We'll be okay for the next stage. We've just got to drive carefully. At least it wasn't as big a crash as this one. Christine Lassière and Alain Labarbe, luckily getting away uninjured. On to stage 6, the stage from Smara to Zouarat, 492 kilometres. Not a good day for Robbie Gordon in the Volkswagen Touareg. He rolled it, count it, 4 times. But he was lucky to be not injured. It happened 10 kilometres before the second control point. His 7th position overall was slipping through his hands.
See that little tiny kickback right there? Just hit it, and just tripped it. No real reason. Bad luck, I guess. We were going okay. It was a really good run for us so far, but damn it. I don't know. Hopefully we can fix the car.
Gordon was not the only one. The overall leader of the Dakar, Colin McRae, also had a big accident. His rally was done and he was out.
There's lots of places like this, it's, you know, full speed and you have to be very careful with the bumps. It didn't look so bad, but the sand was very soft at the bottom and the car dug in the sand and then flipped over.
Such was the violence of the accident, McRae lost his sight for some 10 minutes immediately afterwards. A frightening experience. As the sandstorm continued, teammate Janil de Villiers then saw a massive moment for Jutta Kleinschmidt.
Be careful, huh? She's lucky, huh? Yeah, that was close. Yeah. 10 kilos.
De Villiers later had a puncture in the stage, making it a bad day for Nissan. The South African dropped to 7th overall. Carlos Sousa passed Ari Vatanen in the stage, who was struggling. The Portuguese was now 9th overall. Vatanen returned to service, a weary man. Nissan is a small team. I've only tested the car relatively recently before this Dakar, which means this Dakar is really its first proper test. Stefan Pederhansel was going great guns. He won the stage and was making up time for the 3 punctures a couple of days earlier. 5th overall for the Frenchman, only 7 minutes back. Bruno Sabi took the overall lead after the demise of McRae. He and Alphonse did the stage together. But only after Alphonse let Sabi do some of the navigation. The Frenchman ended up 2nd within a minute of Sabi. Nasser Al-Attiyah, he was 4th overall, only 4 minutes back of the overall leader. He was going absolutely like the wind. A good day for me, but very difficult as I really still feel as if I'm a rookie. I'm still taking too much care though. Happily my co-driver is full of experience. We didn't really make many mistakes. Our target is to be within shooting distance of the best drivers, keep in touch with them, so a good day for us. Elsewhere, things were getting to be a close shave. Australia's Andy Caldicott bolted out of the starting blocks and was well up on the first part of the stage. But the Australian got caught out in the dunes. He then dropped from 1st to 4th overall. That left Fabrizio Mioni to be victorious on the stage, even though he had a rear tyre that had blown its moost. He was 3rd overall, back of Dupre and Coma, 1st and 2nd.
College will never be the same.
It's time we had sex.
Wow.
Stage 7 from Zurat down to Tchit, 660 kilometres. It was going to be a difficult day in the sand. Everybody was running, including the Desert Fox. The problems that the sandstorm made meant that the front runners were all together. But what was the best route to take? Any which way you like. At the refueling zone, though, a 15-minute zone of neutralization for the motorcycles, there was a little bit of confusion with how much petrol anybody was allowed. Phil Dupre saying we've only got 20 litres of fuel here and it's not going to be enough. We've still got 260 kilometres to go in soft sand. We can't get to the finish on just 20 litres. It turned out to be one of the hardest stages ever in 27 years of Dakar Rally. Alfie Cox, Mark Comer were struggling through the stand, but eventually made it to the finish. It was going to be a tough one, even for the pros. But in the end, it was David Fretenier with the lighter, more nimble 450cc Yamaha, still running with only rear-wheel drive, who was victorious on the stage for the third time in 2005. All day long for 500 kilometres I was with the others, such as Caldicott, Puyol, Sala, etc. I asked myself how I was going to get ahead of them, but I felt good physically before drinking a great deal of water before really giving it maximum attack. I went flat out to see what would happen, and they've just arrived behind me here. My efforts have paid off. I must have beaten them maybe by about 7 minutes, so a good day for me.
Donc j'ai dû leur mettre 6 ou 7 minutes sur les derniers kilomètres, donc c'est parfait, j'ai été récompensé de mon effort.
Kenjiro Shinozuka was on the bubble of the top 10 trying to gain places. He was going great guns until it all went wrong. The Nissan Japanese driver had a big accident and he was out of the rally for the second time in 3 years. Co-driver Pascal Maymont was severely winded, but fortunately Shinozuka was okay. I'm sorry and I'm very upset. I'm okay, but Pascal is a little winded and I'm so sorry for this. Stefan Petter-Hansel won one of the stages of his life into Tchit. He clinched the overall lead. The 6-time former victor of the Dakar on 2 wheels and reigning champion on 4 wheels was in absolutely top gear. Luc Alphon managed to make up ground in the terrible sandstorm, and even after a puncture, he was now second overall. Jean-Louis Schlesser was looking to make up ground from a relatively lowly overall position. The 2-time Dakar victor was in unison with a couple of Volkswagens and a lone X5 BMW. Jutta Kleinsmit was 3rd overall, Nasser Al-Attiyah 4th overall. In only his 2nd Dakar, the Qatari driver was a real dark horse. But problems for Schlesser later in the stage. A noise from the rear left suspension of the now V8 Schlesser buggy was causing problems that was costing him precious time. But further back, there was total bedlam. Karel Leprace stuck in the sand up to its axles for the Czech Republic driver. The Estonian crew had rolled it, whilst Vladimir Chagin was in massive trouble. Gregoire de Mavius was also struggling with mechanical problems, both in the front end of the car and the rear end.
It's tough because each leg is very, very, very long. And you lose a lot of energies, And you lose concentration, and that's the way, because the car is so hard. It's really the last adventure in this world.
It was late into the night and still there were many competitors still stuck out in the middle of the desert.
Muy cansados. El último tramo ha sido horrible.
He wasn't shining down on me today. But we'll get there.
Britain's Patsy Quick certainly trying to get to the end of the stage and the end of the Dakar. Elsewhere, other people decided to call it a day. It was going to be a long night. Stage 8 from Tchit to Tchika was then cancelled after the problems of the day before. Dawn broke with nearly half the field still out in the Mauritanian desert. The sandstorm got greater and greater as people still struggled on. This was the Dakar at its absolute extreme. Patrick Zanaroli saying we can't take off at the moment. We're going to stay here for about an hour and see what the weather does. And just like camels, riders and cars and trucks sticking together for help. Etienne Lavigne, the boss of the Dakar, talking to the competitors. He says, when we've got this kind of problem, we think it is only correct that we cancel today's stage.
Quand on a des problèmes comme ça et qu'on est raisonnable, on annule la spéciale d'aujourd'hui.
It's a typical very tough day of the Dakar, and normally always before the rest day. I don't know if it's a normal procedure, but more than 50% of the field is gone by the rest day, and that's exactly what happened yesterday.
It was there for a road section for the motorcycles and cars to Tchika. Stage 9 from Tchika to Attar, the last stage before the rest day. David Fretenier was first off the start line after having been victorious on the last competitive stage into Tchit. His 450cc but only rear-wheel drive Yamaha was having trouble in the dunes. They were now getting very, very soft indeed. Fretenier still running only one-wheel drive rather than the two-wheel drive he had 12 months ago. Cyril Desprez held his second position overall on the way to Attar, while Spaniard Esteve Puyol was victorious on the stage. It was his first day without any major problems. Some of the spectators had been waiting a while to see the Dakar come through town. But Fabrizio Mioni leapt from 5th to 1st overall. He led at the halfway points of the Dakar 2005. This ranking at this point is very good for me. It is much better than I hoped for at this particular point. Mioni led overall from Desprez, from Caldicott, from Coma, from Alfie Cox. Look at that, less than 6.5 minutes covering the top 5. Esteve Puyol also in touch, only 9 minutes back ahead of Oliver Seta, Fretenier, Sala and Chris Blaise as a rookie. Stefan Pederhansel still led overall, still coming after a very close second on the stage from Tchika to Attar. However, it was Luc Alphonse who flew through the stage to clinch his first ever Dakar stage victory for Mitsubishi. He was now second overall by only 20 minutes. He was cutting things a little fine in the dunes, getting very, very close to some of the motorcyclists, but fortunately keeping his foot hard down. Not a good day for Nasser Al-Attiyah, crashing out of a very, very solid 4th position with his BMW. Fortunately, the Qatari driver was uninjured. Jutta Kleinschmidt was 3rd overall with her Volkswagen Touareg, some 40 minutes back, but ready to pounce. But Peter Hansel's engine was smoking badly at the finish. He was towed into service, hopeful it could be repaired during the rest day. So Peter Hansel's lead exactly 20 minutes ahead of his teammate Luc Alphon. Kleinschmidt there in 3rd, Sousa up to 4th ahead of De Villiers, Masuoka 6th, Onrad and Magnaldi 7th and 8th, Costa and Mitsuhashi. With the trucks, it was Kabirov who led overall with his Kamaz, just ahead of Hans Bex's DAF.